Welcome everyone to the Raw Truth, episode 25 with Ando, Wally, and our special guest today, Glen Donovan. How you doing, mate?
Awesome, man.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. So I'm sure most of you have just witnessed our Holy Wars cover from Megadeth. We certainly had a whole bunch of fun covering that song, and yeah, man, thanks for joining us on the cover, and thanks for joining us again today.
Yeah, man, it was an absolute trip. Like I said, it was one of those songs you always want to play live, but you never think you're going to be able to get to that point. Especially trying to get the whole band together to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was awesome to get some guys in here. Absolutely rock it. So.
Fuck yeah, man. And you had a bit of fun on it too, Wally?
Yeah, man, it was a great time. That as I said on Thursday night on the live stream where we debuted the video, it was such a good challenge learning it. And I think what you've just said there, you know, having people who can play it as well, that challenge was as much fun as it was recording the video. You know, being able to get all this down of such a classic song that, you know, so many of us all love, and that's what made it so much more enjoyable. You know, that process of getting it together and then making it happen for the video and then showing it off, and here we are again.
That's it, man. And it's a technical song, you know. It's quite tricky to play on guitar, and I'm sure the drums are the same. And obviously, Glenn, you know, you're bloody shredding all of Marty Friedman's solos, so that's no easy feat.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those benchmark moments in your life where you're like, if I can hit this, I know I've done something well. So I've definitely hit that.
Yeah.
So now just got to figure out what the next step's going to be.
I was going to say that's.
And play it clean. That'll be a good one. We'll do that next. Yeah.
That's the tricky bit, man, because you've just like played a couple of Marty Friedman solos from the Rust in Peace album, which are, you know, a lot of people regard as some of his best work.
Yeah.
And some of just thrash metal's best lead guitar work, really. So yeah, what's the next step after that? What's the next bloody site?
I reckon it should be up to you guys out there. You tell me. What can you outdo that stuff?
Ooh, what's better than Marty Friedman?
Ooh.
It's a tough call, my friend. That's a tough call.
Yeah, that's going to cause some trouble right there.
That's it. But yeah, bloody hell.
So here we are. We've got Brad up in the sunny coast. How's it going today, Brad, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, Josh.
Sweeney down New South Wales.
Hey, Sweeney. Actually, he's probably got asked. Sweeney, you said that Holy Wars was your second favourite song. What's your favourite? You got to tell us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and looking at the guitar I've seen you play, it's got to be a Pantera one, so that could be interesting.
Yeah, good.
Bloody keen to see, mate.
Yeah.
It's
Sweeney
Ty.
will let us know for sure.
What have we got? Ty over in America.
G'day, Ty.
He's getting
Who
the
else
CD.
is there? I can't see
What
that.
from America?
Ed.
Hey, Ed. Yeah, we're going international. We're going global.
Yeah.
Wartooth is global, my friend.
Pretty sure.
Oh, you didn't tell me it was going to be that big.
Yeah.
I think it's Saturday night primetime TV for these guys in America, so it's the best thing they could find.
Yeah, good one. That's alright.
All good, my friend. All good. So, everyone, welcome again to the Raw Truth. This is where we create a collaboration of knowledge and empowerment through discussion around contemporary social issues and interpersonal struggles through heavy metal music and conversations like we're having today. So, obviously, Glenn, I know we spoke a little bit on the phone the other day and put a little bit in the description there about, I mean, we've all had a bit of a journey through some mental health struggles.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and a lot of people that are watching as well have had some battles with mental health. I don't know, do you want to give us a little bit of a background about some of your journey and sort of where you started from, where shit hit the fan? And
We're like this.
Eloquently speaking, I suppose.
Well, I think a lot of my problems stem from just only having one thing in my life that I was passionate about, and that was all I really had. I only had one purpose, and that was music. Which doesn't really sound that bad of a thing, but you know, I'm sure you guys can relate. Of when you're in a band, it's almost like being married to a bunch of stinking blokes, and you can't have sex, so you're always angry at each other.
It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So no matter what, you're always going to be upset if something's going on, and if you can't make that marriage work, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. And I think that stems from a lot of the problems where my personal things came in. On top of that, I was having a lot of relationship troubles. The person I was with at the time, we just weren't really right for each other, but we tried to make it work. We kept it going for a long time. Obviously, we loved each other and all that kind of stuff. But we started to get into this whole mentality of we can't be wrong. It's someone else's fault. Always blaming an external thing as reasons why we're not getting to where we need to be. So that in itself becomes a bit of a negative feedback loop. It goes for a few years. Your position gets worse because you're actually trying to fix yourself because it's not your fault. You're trying to get someone else to change to make things work for you. So after a while, that doesn't work. A couple of years down the line, you realise, shit, I've got no one else to blame. Well, I'm going to blame the person who's been, feeding me all this bullshit for the last few years. And next minute, you're both going, because it was the same kind of things. Like, as it's a loop, I start blaming the other person, they start blaming me, and that begins with more problems. Next minute, you're trying to tear each other's throats out.
Yeah.
And it's just turned really ugly, and just got to a really dark place. That's where I got to.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think no, it's absolutely. It's easy to sort of see how that can happen. And like you spoke about, like a band being like a relationship or a marriage.
Yeah.
And the relationships as well. Like, I know on some previous episodes of the Raw Truth, we spoke a lot about that conflict and internal conflict where everyone's coming into it thinking, I'm right, the other person's wrong, and that creates conflict as opposed to coming into things with more listening and understanding and sort of saying like, potentially I could be wrong, and if you come into any sort of argument with the potential that you could be wrong, all of a sudden you're a bit more open to listening to other people and like you say, working on yourself and checking your own position and things like that. So that's important. But I guess what I'm trying to get at there is like the same sort of thing can happen within a band dynamic as well, where like the band thinks like we're like doing the right thing. It's everyone else that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like we're the best thing in the world. Like, and it's good to have self-confidence and believe in yourself and all those things, and your relationship and your band and all those things. Really, really important. But it can get to the point where it becomes that toxic sort of environment where like we're untouchable and it's everyone else that's wrong. And like I said, whether it's a band or a relationship context, and when you start feeding that, all of a sudden, and things aren't working in your favor, like you said, life's not going in the direction you want. It's like, well, it can't be us. It's got to be everyone else, right? And I know from a musical perspective, like a lot of bands sort of that we talk to, and potentially we've even been there ourselves, but it's like, oh, why aren't we like famous? Why aren't we big and popular? It must be like the scene or the industry is fucked, or like, somebody else's. It's somebody else's that's fucked. It's not us. We haven't done anything wrong. We've been making good music. We've been performing. Like,
we practice once a week.
Yeah.
Like,
It must be the world that's wrong, and that's why we're not famous and making money and all those things. It's like Wally's laughing over there, but it's true. Like that's the same mindset of like it can't be us. It must be everyone else. And then when, like you said about the journey there, where when that doesn't work and you run out of other people to blame, and it's still not going right. It's like, well, then you start turning on each other.
Yep.
It's like, well, now it must be this guy in the band. He's not carrying his weight, or maybe it's the other person that's sabotaging us in some way. And then all you do is creating more conflict because nobody wants to take ownership, really, of what it comes down to. Nobody wants to take ownership of maybe I'm not working hard enough, or maybe I'm not doing the right things, whether it be a band or a relationship context. So, like Wally, what do you think about that sort of mindset?
Yeah, I think the key word that we're looking for there is responsibility, and it comes with a certain level of maturity. Like in myself, both in the band and relationship and most aspects of my life, the most positive internal growth and happiness has come from that time where I'm like, okay, I've had to take responsibility for what is my life, because when we learn, I've tried to blame all the other things, and I'm running out of things to blame, and nothing keeps changing. But it's actually me who's the one who's not changing.
Yeah.
And so we learn, okay, the responsibility, that internal mirror needs to be held up and go, hang on, what's wrong in here? Because if it's rainy or it's sunny outside, that shouldn't affect what happens inside, But if we sit there and we want to blame the weather, want to blame industries or other people in our lives for things that we're not getting, like, well, that's because we're not putting in the work to get that.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't even explain that to someone, maybe we didn't have that happen, and that's the challenge that we face, is just swallowing that pride and going, okay, no, it's me inside that need to admit the fault.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, relationship, perfect situation, it's 100% 50-50 split. Like, both people are equally responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, have you taken 50% of their responsibility?
Yeah.
And instigated 100% of the change that you can do.
Yeah.
And that's where we run into that struggle, because it's like, well, No, because I'm right where I am. You got to come all the way to me. You know, all your faults have got to stop and come to mine.
I'm perfect.
Yeah.
You need to fix all of those things so that this can work.
Yeah.
It sounds really horrible when you sort of lay it out like that, isn't it? But
Yeah.
that's a lot of the time what people do, and
Yeah, it's just that ego, man. Like,
Yeah.
you got to put that on a diet.
the ego and the pride.
Yeah.
You say on a diet.
Yeah. Having a good ego is fine, but if it's running out of control, and let's face it, whose ego is not running out of control?
Yeah.
If you don't keep tabs on it, like, yeah, it's potentially going to destroy everything.
Yes.
So
Well, that's right. I mean, like taking responsibility, taking ownership for things, like what you were saying there, it's actually empowering because you're like, well, if things are my fault, then I can do something about it.
mm,
But if it's everyone else's fault, then I have no control here. Like, I don't have any power because everything is everyone else's fault. But if you're like, hang on, things might be my fault, it's my responsibility to fix it, all of a sudden you've just created opportunity for yourself to make your life better, or your relationship better, or your band better, or whatever. And I guess passing back to you, Glenn, like, sort of after you went through that toxic situation within your relationship, did you find that sort of like you were taking more responsibility for your life and
yeah,
for your mental health and things like that?
it was a very long process from that relationship ending to being by myself and figuring out and moving on. I suppose the ending of a relationship was when I started really looking at myself and realizing what's going on and how I can fix it. It's like there's a lot of people out there who can help you. I'm sure people in Australia already know about the mental health plans you can go on and all that kind of stuff. Definitely worth doing, even if you don't think you need it. Just go in there, get yourself someone who you can just vent to, because I found even that in itself, being able to vent someone who's in a safe space is enough to just level you back out. Even if you think problems aren't that big, it's just good to have that moment. So once I got to a point and I was able to look at myself and kind of like you're saying, like, you don't control unless you take the reins and you look at your problem and you find that you actually have a problem. So after being able to vent, get it all out there, start thinking about myself outside of my own self, almost like a third person kind of view, I suppose is a good way to look at it. A lot of your problems, they become much more tangible. You've talked about them, but they're out in the open and you can move around them. So once you've gone through all that, you've looked at yourself and start actually working on it, it's going to take you a long time. Like a lot of problems I started to realise I have, I still struggle with today. And I probably will for another 10 years. Like, these are things that I've been doing for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I've got to change all that.
It's not going to fix, is it?
Oh, God, no.
Certainly not.
The thing is, a step in the right direction is always going to be better than nothing at all. And you guys have talked a lot about that stagnation. Staying away from that. Yeah, as long as you're looking at your problems and you can actually say they're your own, that for me is always going to be the best step. And eventually you find yourself taking that step by step and you'll walk out of your bad situation eventually. You just got to give it that time and patience.
One step right at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Slowly building your life to be a bit better, like one brick in the wall at a time.
Yeah.
One step in the right direction, and over time that compounds. And I know, Wally, you've spoken about that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ask both of you guys, like, we're talking about the ego there and taking responsibility and mental health plans, things like that. What is that step like, you know, when you're in that situation, like, okay, I've got to put all my pride on the shelf and be like, I need help. You know, because I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with. You know, both of you guys want to elaborate on that that process, that realization in yourself that the ego doesn't matter and the problems is what we've got to fix.
Well, for me, I think those mental health programs have probably really helped that, because I didn't really have to. I still had to sit down and like deal like this is my problem, but because I was able to vent in a safe space, it was much easier than I'm not sure how you went about it. But having someone there who has no bearing in your life really, they're just there to listen to your problem and take a paycheck. That's all they're there for, and that's good. Because if that's all they're doing, you don't have to worry about running in the street and go, oh God, I said that to that guy. Oh no, what do they think of me? You don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
And because
No
of that,
judgment,
because of that, I was able to get all my problems out there verbally, which made it real. And just because of that, for me, it was very easy. And I can't recommend it more. I recommend it. Go do it. Give it a go. So yeah, I didn't really have to put myself out there as much as someone else might.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
Yeah, so I've spoken about this before, but going to see like a psychologist for me was like a really big step. There was a lot of ego and pride in the way, but also a lot of fear of like, what am I going to uncover here? Like, this could really go south. Like, and just asking for help, like that's a big ego thing for me, a big pride, big pride thing. I'm really trying to work through that, and I think I have been working through that in recent times. But taking that first step to saying like, I'm going to talk to somebody professional to get some actual help with my mindset and my mental, issues and things like that I'm dealing with. It's a very big step and a very difficult step to take, but I just sort of ended up working myself into a position where I'm like, this is the only option here. Like, I've been working on myself, I've been making some progress, things are going well, but there's still this other bunch of stuff that I just don't know how to deal with, and I don't want to talk to anybody that I know about it. Like Glen, you were saying, there's that, like, I don't want to talk to my friend about this, maybe because it's in relation to my friend, and I can't talk to them about this, or I don't want to talk to this other person about it because, then I'm going to have to see that person again in a few weeks and be ashamed of the thing that I spoke about, or what have you. Yeah. When you go see somebody professional, there is no, as you say, there's no attachment there. You don't have to worry about offending anybody or hurting anybody or anybody being invested in the things that you need to talk about or what have you. And so you can just be open and honest and just say anything that you feel like, and there's no judgment and all those things. So while it was a very difficult step to take, it became very apparent within like the first half an hour of my first session. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Like, just absolutely so rewarding, so fulfilling, and just being able to get all those things out there in the open. Like, they don't solve your problems for you. Psychologists don't solve your mental health issues. They don't give you the answers. Just you sort of discover them yourself by talking them through, and they just ask you questions, and maybe they can give you some little tools and tips and tricks on how to manage your brain from a technical point of view. That's certainly been my experience, but more than anything, just talking about your things, as you say, you get them out there, they're real. Once your problem is out of here and it's in front of you in words, all of a sudden you can look at it differently. You're more detached and you can work through it more logically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that something that you've obviously found the same thing?
Yeah, but just as you say, like, if it's all in your head, it's just a big mess, and it's not until you get it out there that it becomes something you can work with. Like, you don't realise you have a problem until you say, I have a problem. Until you say that, it's just a festering in your head, and you just got to get it out. Just give it a go.
Yeah. And I think, Derek there in the comments, he's emailed us multiple times about the therapy work he's been doing for a long time. And, maybe that's something you've experienced yourself, Derek, like watching people come to you for help and knowing that they've got to ask, and just seeing the way they react from maybe that first minute they walk in shy and quite concerned about revealing their problems, and then as Andy just said, like in half an hour's time, they're like, this is the greatest thing I could have done for myself, really knowing that, okay, I've got to own this and I've got to let me be me, and as we were talking earlier before the stream, the sooner we can acknowledge our faults, the sooner we can live with them, but if we continue to put them on the back burner and deny that, that's when we're facing that internal conflict of like, well, I don't really want to have to own that. I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, whatever the case may be. But as soon as you own that, no one else can make you feel the way you want to feel about that.
Yeah.
And we've got Tyson there a few times in the comments as well. They're talking about this would be a great song idea, talking about being able to put our pride on the shelf and really move forward.
Yeah, sorry guys, I keep on forgetting you guys right now.
And don't worry, our man Sweeney, Ashes in Your Mouth is his favourite song. He mentioned
Ashes in Your Mouth!
So, there you go.
Ooh.
Get excited about that.
I'm digging it.
Here we go. So Sweeney, the healer, also needs healing. The planner needs surprises. The giver needs to receive. And the thoughtful need to be thought of and considerate. And the considerate also need to be considered. So here we're just talking about a dichotomy. Everything's in balance. We don't want to overshoot. You know, when we're at one end of the spectrum, we want to edge ourselves closer to the middle. Don't go to the other end, because then you've got to figure out how to get all the way back. Which is one thing I feel that I'm very good at doing, you know. Doing something, doing it wrong, right, let's completely do a 180, and then, okay, hang on, went too far, we've got to find the balance point again. But that's the way I like to take it. Extreme to the max.
One extreme to the other extreme, and then back and forth.
We'll figure out where the sweet spot is eventually, so don't worry about that.
That's it.
So, yeah, I mean, all of that being said, guys, I think it's really good to know that these things are helpful. You know, we know that help is available, and at the end of the day, it's only ourselves that are hindering ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, again, that's something we spoke about before the stream. It's so hard to understand that all these people are around us, but we've got to be the one to take that step to reach out. You know.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, it's like we said before about the ego and things. Like, at the end of the day, if you're not admitting you have a problem, if you're blaming everyone else or the world or your job or your situation or your boss or whatever, your relationship, these are all the reasons that I'm unhappy, or these are all the reasons that I'm mentally not stable, or whatever it might be. Like, again, you're not gonna reach out for help because you're not the one with the problem. Everyone else has got the problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
So it's all about taking that ownership and just saying, like, I'm gonna own the fact that I have this issue and I want to help. I want help to fix it, or I'm gonna actually just decide to fix it or work on it or whatever. Certainly, you know, like within the context of relationships and things like that. What am I trying to say here? Again, like Wally said before, you know, a relationship is two people's responsibility, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility for your half, and that's completely up to you. Like, so you have to own that half of the relationship, or, you know, if it's a band relationship, you've got to own your piece. You've got to own your piece of the problem, of the dynamic of the relationship, whatever it might be. And without owning that and owning the problems that come with it, you're never going to be able to solve anything or work through it, because as far as you're concerned, as far as your ego is concerned, there isn't a problem. It's everyone else's problem.
Yes.
So, like, yeah.
Exactly. I'm interested, Glenn. Did music play any part of this self-discovery and movement forward? Did you find that music was a good outlet or something like that?
When I was young, I think everyone has a few songs they really connect to.
Yeah.
And especially when you're going through teenage years and you have all that hair showing up, or you didn't have hair before, and all the rest of those problematic things that go on.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, like you always get those songs that you just grab a hold of. Some of them are really exciting, some of them are really sad, and they just help you get those emotions out. These days, I can't say I'm too attached to any songs at the moment. Actually, probably the last one was the song that ended up being the first, what do you call it, the first dance at your wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that was probably the last one I really hooked onto.
What song was that?
It was That's When You Came In by Steel Panther.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a funny one because it's a love song. It's a Steel Panther love song. So all the it doesn't really work in that kind of term. But you take away the Steel Panther part of the song, and really all the song is about is being in a place that you're not really happy with, and you don't know why you're there, but you're there, and yeah, you just don't know what you're doing. But then that one person shows up in your life and just blows you away and makes everything all of a sudden just makes sense. Why you're here, why you're doing that? It's because you needed to meet this person. So yeah, that song was really massive for me because I met my wife when I was in a really bad place. I just moved on from a relationship which I had a lot of trouble with. I'd essentially lost contact with my son because of it. So I was in a really bad place, and then just not knowing what the hell am I going to do with my life now. A relationship that I was in for almost 10 years disintegrated. My son's just moved down to well down past Sydney. I can't remember the actual town was called anymore. Yeah, all the way down there. Like, he's almost impossible to reach, and I don't have any purpose in life. But this person came in, and next minute I have a purpose. Yeah, and it's just the most amazing thing. So,
That's it, man. That's really beautiful and powerful, and I'm sure like some of you guys can relate to that, where you know you might have been in a dark space in your life or some sort of rough time, and as you say, like somebody, whether it's a partner or a friend or a boss or like anything, something just reaches a hand out and like shines that little bit of light in the darkness for you, and all of a sudden there's like hope and there's purpose and there's a reason to keep going all of a sudden. And, do you guys have people like that in your life? I'd love to hear about that. I know I certainly do, and it sounds like you do. And you know, we're forever grateful for those people. I think because they've not that they like saved us from the dark place. They just gave you a reason to save yourself.
yeah.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of a while back we were talking about like suicide and all those kind of things.
Yeah. Actually, can you sort of tell that story if you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
Because that's
Okay,
it's
so
a really dark,
yeah.
dark sort of thing, and I think some people might need to hear something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So we're going back in time probably 5 years, if not more. So I was in a really bad place. My relationship was on the rocks, and it's kind of that thing of I didn't really feel like I had a purpose. And to try to cut a long story short, I attempted suicide twice. Luckily, both times nothing happened, and I was contemplating again for a third time just before my relationship broke down and moved on to the next step of my life. But I suppose the biggest problem I was facing it's kind of hard to look back and try to explain it. I suppose it's just that purpose thing. Like if you don't feel like you have a purpose in life, you're kind of stuck. And I'm not sure if you guys have had any problems with this, and because what we talked to you about. But when you're suffering from depression and anxiety, one of the things that really got to me was how much it affects you physically. I found myself at some point, I made myself a cup of tea and I wanted to sit down and just relax, drink my tea and just try to let myself out. I sat there staring at that tea for almost an hour. Didn't touch it, just watched it go cold. It was just this void of emptiness, just not feeling anything at all. And you can't just get to this point where you just want that feeling of emptiness to stop. Yeah, so I got to that point twice. Luckily, I was able to talk myself through it and came to a conclusion of why I shouldn't do it. And every day I'm bloody glad because all those problems went away and now I'm in an amazing spot. The third time was much of a similar kind of situation. But once again, doing it twice, I was able to kind of pull myself out. But yeah, I suppose it just comes down to, like, once again, something we've talked about before is, like, death is like just finite, it's done, you got nothing. But life, as we were talking about a bit earlier as well, is infinite. You never know where you're going to end up. So just try to choose life and try to find a way to make it okay to choose it as well. It's probably the other thing. Like, it's really hard when you're in that moment to look at it subjectively of why you should. So one of the things that I found really helped was not to think of me, but think of the other people around you. Not necessarily, if you can't think of, like, you know, your family members and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, sometimes you feel like they're half of the problem. One of the ways I managed to use that kind of mentality was, if I was to go through with this, someone's going to have to find me, and that person is going to have to deal with that shit probably for the rest of their lives. And I don't know, I just didn't want to put that person in that position. So for me, that's what my mentality came down to. So I don't care what happens to me, obviously, because I'm, you know, about to try to net myself. But I don't want these other people to feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because that's just fucking mean. I don't do that to someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I just. Sorry, I've completely gone. I have no idea what your question was anymore.
No, but that's no, exactly. No, but you're onto it. It's like exactly the point. You know, like you've basically given yourself a reason to continue. Not even when you're in that shit spot and you don't feel like you've got any value in the world, you still don't want to make it worse for somebody else.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all that bit of empathy, that bit of compassion for other people. Like that's enough. And not only is it enough, but sometimes that's the whole point of life. It's like it's not about us and like what we think and what I want to do. It's like, hang on, we're in this world with 7 billion other people. Like, let's not go and fuck it up for them. Even if you don't care about yourself, like, don't make it worse for somebody else. And sometimes that act of compassion, which is really what you're kind of describing there, is like, I don't want to put somebody else through this thing, and like continue the chain of, like, you know, if you're, let's say, messed up and in a really bad spot, you don't want to then pass that on to somebody else. Like, sometimes that's all it is. Like, you don't have to do great things in the world, but just try not to make it worse. And that can be enough. That can be enough of a legacy, let's call it, of a purpose of your life. Is like, sure, I didn't necessarily improve the world, but I didn't make it worse. And that in itself is a really positive thing. And I know one of the people that I listen to and read a bit of stuff from, Jordan Peterson, he talks about this concept as well. Is like, you know, you don't always have to do great things and accomplish big things in life, or make the world necessarily better. Just try not to make it worse. Just try not to do bad things to make the world a worse place than what it is. And sometimes that's enough. And like, Wally, like, I can see you nodding along over there. Like,
Yeah,
you
like
got some things to share about that.
the key word you're using there is legacy, and I think, like you said, it's not trying to you know, have people building statues of you after you're gone, but just the purpose of serving others. You know, and we've all found fulfillment in doing that, knowing that, yes, it's not about us, but what clicks in our brain to realise that, you know, everyone takes something so significantly different, because as a child, the world is about us. Our parents are about us, like if you're lucky enough to have a decent upbringing. And so it takes whatever it takes in your teenage years or adulthood for something to flip and go, oh, okay, hang on, no, it's not about me. You know, it's about what can I do for others, not what they can do for me. And I think, you know, the position you're in your life now, obviously you've found service in, you know, looking after family and that sort of thing. So that contrast must be quite stark, knowing that, as you were saying earlier, the time I have for myself, I have to absolutely utilise now, because I am spending so much time servicing others. And that's where we get to in ourselves. Is, okay, I've actually got to make something with me, because I'm so fulfilled to give to others. I actually need to carve out some time for myself, you know, and serve me, because I forgot about that. Because again, at the other end of the spectrum, all me, all them, we've got to find that balance point.
Right. Yeah, I've got quite lucky with that. So, like you're saying, trying to find that balance of other people versus you and trying to figure it all out. Back to my last relationship, the balance is really offset. Just trying to juggle that was massive, but
In what way?
I suppose missing our first child. So, you know, that step alone is really hard. Trying to figure out how that all works, let alone where you fit into it. And yeah, I was always upset if I couldn't find the right timing to do what I felt I needed to do to keep my cup full. But now I've kind of reached a point where it's okay if I don't get to play guitar. Like I was saying, like, music has always been my thing. Since I was probably 14, music has been my absolute life. And that was my purpose. I was a musician. Not a very good one, but I was a musician.
Yeah.
But now, I am a father. I'm a family man. That's who I am, but what I do is music. So because of that, I don't mind if I go a week without playing music. I don't mind if I go a month without playing music. I'll start getting really crappy and angry about it, but it's okay, because, you know, my cup is full from other things now. And that's probably one of my main problems back when I was in a dark place, was music was still the only thing I had. I didn't see all these other things that I could have had. I just didn't reach out and take them. But looking now, I do. I've got these things. But if something falls over, it's okay because, I still have all this other great stuff happening. I have more than one purpose in life now.
Beautiful.
I feel like that's the thing, right? There's and I can relate to this as well. But when we're younger, oftentimes we have like one-dimensional identity, just because we're young and we haven't fleshed out our personality and our lives and things. So we become, like one-dimensional in like our passion or our pursuit of like, this is what I want to do in my life. This one thing. This is the only thing that matters, right?
Yep.
And then when that thing shakes or it gets a bit wobbly and something else happens, or like for example with us with the band, like when we first started as a band, the band was the only thing that mattered to me at the time, and Wally, you're the same. And we had some members leave, and then it was like, oh fuck, we don't have the band anymore. My life is meaningless. I have nothing in my life because I only had that one thing. And as soon as that topples over, it's like, well, now I've got nothing. And it sounds like you were kind of similar there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like as we get older and we start to mature, and like you say, you went through the things that you've been through, we realize like it's important to have a couple of things to make our identity. It's important to be multi-dimensional as a human and have some depth to our personality and to our lives, and it makes it richer, makes our lives richer, and it also makes our lives more resilient, because then if one thing does topple or it doesn't go the way we want it to go, it's like, sure, it sucks, but I've still got other reasons to keep my life going, And so I'm interested, like you said, about you got a family now, like a new family with a daughter.
Two daughters.
Two daughters, sorry. Yeah. And so it's like, well, that's important. You've still got your music, and I'm interested, do you have other things? Like, have you got sort of a few things in your life right now?
Oh, I wish I did. I really would like to get into fitness and something like jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
It's something I'm getting really interested in, but finding the time and motivation to do that kind of stuff is probably not going to happen for a little while, but that's all right.
For sure.
So yeah, I'm just happy to be a musician. I always will be. It's just... It's weird because the person who I was 5 years ago, if they see my life now, if I just threw them straight in, they would struggle, they would fall apart. Worse than I already had. Whereas now, like you're saying, like you get older and you start to realise there's more to life than this one dream. Like, because I was exactly the same. I was probably until I was 25, I was convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that music was going to be my life, and that's all it was going to be. And it just doesn't. Life just doesn't work like that. Like you can talk to anyone who's made it. Like I was watching the Saint Anger from what do they call it? Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary. And you see even those guys like the pinnacle of everything. Like, realistically, if you want to make it big, you got to be Metallica. Like that's kind of the benchmark. Like if you want to make it, that's it. And you look at those guys, and they still have that thing. They still have the music. That whole documentary kind of shows them struggling with trying to push that as your only thing, and then your whole family life and everything underneath just falls apart. And you're left as a shell, and eventually that cracks. And you've got to try to fix it. So it doesn't matter what level you're on, whether you're strumming a guitar just for fun or you're fucking Metallica. Like these things will always be there, and you got to work on them.
Got to keep it serviced, 100%. And that's one thing. Brendan in the comments a bit earlier there said he lost his sister and childhood friend last year to suicide, and so that was something that no one knew about, because maybe they weren't servicing themselves. They were just living in that isolation and not able to open up. And that's what we've got to be able to do: work within, our immediate family or whoever it is that we're close enough to. Can help us service it, and we can service them, and we can find that balance where, okay, someone's slipping down, people can recognise, and we can all jump in and help, in the same way that they can feel comfortable to reach out and help. There's a couple of other comments in there. Everyone's acknowledging that we're going quite deep here, which is good, and Ty, he's loving it, man. He's going to be the best interview he's ever seen.
But this is what the raw truth is about. So
yeah,
and I mean, I know you guys. We really appreciate you guys sharing, and certainly not just today, but in the past. Sharing some of your stories, but that's literally like what we're trying to achieve with these Raw Truth live stream podcasts is like, why not go deep? Why not discuss the difficult things that people don't want to fucking talk about in life? that is causing people to drop dead like flies because nobody wants to talk about it. Like, and thrash metal of all the genres of music is the one that fucking kicks the doors down on difficult conversations. In the 80s, it was war and politics and all those things that people were struggling with back then. They were the difficult conversations. They weren't talked about openly on the news. They weren't talked about openly in society. And thrash metal was like, no, we can kick this fucking door down and we're going to have this difficult conversation. You know, today, the difficult conversation is mental health. That's the thing nobody wants to talk about. And it's like, no, we're fucking talking about it, because if we don't, people are going to keep offing themselves, and we're going to lose people like Brendan's sister, you know, his childhood friend, and like, you know, almost yourself, and some of my mates, and things like that. Like, people are offing themselves like crazy because nobody wants to have the conversation. You know, you've got to go deep, man, on this shit. You've got to be able to talk about it, and it's fucking hard sometimes. And like, we really, really appreciate you opening up today, Glen. Like, it's a big deal, you know, and like, it must be challenging for you to open up.
Yeah, I think it's in the past far enough where it's like not affecting me too much. But it's still very hard to try to explain. That's probably the hardest part. Just try and explain those feelings and how they affect you so much. It's definitely something that's really hard to. When you're in the midst of it, it feels like it's impossible. I remember my first time I went in with a psychiatrist or a psychologist when you go into the interviews and all that kind of stuff.
I think it's a psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was I broke down and cried for 15 minutes. That was the first thing I did. Before any words are spoken, I tried to get words out and just exploded.
Emotional overwhelm, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's really hard to do. But yeah, you just got to do it. And as soon as you start doing it, it does make it easier when you start doing it.
Yeah.
But once it's out there, it's tangible, and you can start doing something with it. And like you've said, once you have that, you can start steering in the direction you want. Because otherwise, you're helpless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible feeling. So
absolutely, brother. Absolutely. But you know, one thing that's really interesting, like, I can still see that you've still got some attachment and some emotional, response there to what you went through, bro.
Yeah.
And it's still there, and I feel like it may be a thing that might be there forever, that you went through that thing, and it's always going to be inside you that you did go through that.
Yeah, it'll always be there. As long as you're taking care of yourself and you're keeping your cup full, like, you can work through it. It's as simple as that. Like, just keep on working through. Just keep on moving forward. Don't stop. As soon as you stop, your brain's going to start rehooking all those bad wiring. Next minute, you're back where you started because you're procrastinating. You're not moving forward. Just one step after the other, even if it's in the wrong direction. Doesn't matter where you're going. If you're going around in circles, at least you're keeping yourself moving. That's the biggest thing. Don't stop. Don't stop believing.
Yeah. That's it, bro.
Yeah,
That's it. Fucking, like, honestly though, like, what's something interesting here is, like, you looked death in the face twice, and you survived, and you said, that's not for me. Like you said before, like, death is finite, life is, you know, infinite in its opportunities and possibilities.
Yeah.
And twice, almost 3 times, you looked death in the face and you said, no thanks, not today.
Yes and no,
And you survived
because I wasn't necessarily looking death in the face. I was looking myself in the face.
Okay.
It's not like someone had a gun to me and said, "That's it, you're going down," and I said, "Not today," and pulled out some kind of karate move or something. I was at myself going, "I'm gonna fucking kill myself," and I was like, "Well, am I really gonna do it?" Well, no, because there's so much more I could do instead. So.
That's huge though, man. I don't know if you like necessarily celebrated how fucking huge that is. That's a big deal.
I'd rather celebrate life. I'd rather celebrate what happens after that, which could be anything. It could be really bad, or it could be amazing. It could be, you know, you're married with 3 kids, and you're happiest you've ever been, you're the most productive you've ever been. I'd rather celebrate that. Like, celebrate the good times. If you're looking at the bad times, and that's where you're gonna stay.
Yeah.
live your good life.
Fuck
Enjoy
yeah.
it. You
Yeah.
have those wins. Celebrate those wins.
Yeah, you've definitely had some fucking big wins, man.
Oh yeah, no, I've
Yeah.
been very lucky.
Right on.
Sweeney was on there about the good win before. He said we frequently pass so near to happiness without seeing it and without regarding it. And if we do see it, we just let it go unrecognised. And that's exactly what you've just said there. You know, that's its own problem. You know, do we acknowledge success and do we acknowledge achievements and do we realise what we're capable of? And that's one thing I said to you earlier as well. Like when we start out in life, like we're not even a human being can look after ourselves, and we get to whatever age, we can dress ourselves, we can feed ourselves, we can start to do all of these things, and then we get to a point in adulthood where we decided that we're incapable of doing anything because we completely lose perspective of what it was that we came from. This tiny little sperm in the sack, you know, that's now a grown-ass functioning human being.
The only time I've won a race.
Yeah.
Celebrate it.
That's it, mate. That's a win right there.
Yeah. And so, like,
Getting
we
born
are.
is like some ridiculous amount of like it's way
Well, it's a
higher.
billion to one.
There's
Yeah.
something, some ridiculous.
Everyone's
amount
won
of
the
odds.
lotto, so stop saying I never win the fucking lotto. You
Yeah.
won.
You turned up here on this planet.
Yeah.
That's the winning of the lotto.
Yeah.
Now what are you going to do with it, right?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
here's your ticket. You know, you got the golden ticket, and you can do whatever it is you want. So,
Yeah.
at no time is it not your time. You know, it's absolutely your time until someone else decides that it's over. You know, but why would you choose for yourself? You know, when, as we've said, 5 years ago, we don't know where we were going to be now. Maybe we had a plan, but we're never where we thought we were going to be.
Mm.
And so that whatever dark space we're in, we know that in a month's time, 12 months or 5 years down the line, it's not going to still be in the shit show. We find a way out of it, you know.
Darkness is temporary, man. And I know, like, we've covered the song on YouTube with one of the acoustic tracks,
Yeah.
but Machine Head, Be Still and Know, is just one of those songs that got me through a lot of dark times. Just listening to those lyrics over and over again. You know, like, the sun will rise, no matter how fucking dark it will be. It is right now. Like, it is only temporary. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but it's temporary. There's another side to it. The sun will come up. All we have to do is just fucking survive long enough for it to come up. You know, and that's, like you say, man, like, life is full of possibility and opportunity, and as long as we can keep waking up every day, things will improve over time. And as long as we can take one little step where we can, when we can, we're going to find our way out of whatever dark patch we're in. And, like, you've got the rest of your life ahead of you for whatever that might be, like happiness or success or as I said, even if it's just not doing bad shit in the world, and that's your legacy. Like, you can't do any of that if you're dead.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't do anything if you're dead. You're dead.
Yeah.
So
It's all over.
always choose life, because there are infinite possibilities on what that could mean. Right?
Yeah, bloody oath.
Mm.
Just on that, while you're talking about Be Still and Know, there's another album that if you do find yourself in a bad spot, I found was really helpful, was Firemans Premonition album.
Okay.
That thing is just full of positive affirmations. It's amazing. A really good, powerful album. If you can't get yourself moving, throw that on, I guarantee you will be moving. It'll get you up and going. It's a really good one.
It's like a mosh pit in the kitchen sort of music, or?
No, it's just more like one of those songs. It's just called "Keep Your Head Up High." It's literally about keeping your head up high. Don't let it get down. Yeah. It's just very, very powerful. You know those moments of like you get the hair standing up in your arms and it's like, ooh, I feel invigorated. It's the album is just full of those kind of moments.
Fuck yeah, man.
And that's one that really helped me at the start when I was going through some heavy times. Was that album was enough to get me off that couch and go mow the fucking lawn. Like even small things like that, just that movement.
Those little wins, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to actually open it up to the guys and see who else. Have you got any like songs or albums or bits of music that have helped you through some dark times, or that you can share with other people? You know, because that's what we're all about here, is about that community. So if you guys have some songs or some albums that helped you get through some dark shit, or some that might motivate you or have some positive effect on your life, like share them in the comments, guys, because you don't know who's watching, you don't know who's reading these comments. Maybe they're going through some dark stuff themselves, and your song that you throw out there might just be that little reminder they need to be like, that's right, I can keep going because of this track or this album, you know. So please do share away in the comments, guys, if you have any songs that helped you through that.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any, like, I know you haven't been through like excessively dark patches in your life so far, Wally, but do you have music that motivates you? Is there certain songs or bands that get you charged up and feeling good?
Absolutely, man. I didn't even realise this, but a few months ago, my mum bought me a shirt, and it says, "No matter how I'm feeling, drums always make me happy." And it was not actually until I seen that shirt and started wearing it, I'm like, this is so true, you know. But I didn't even acknowledge that. Just sitting down, and as we spoke about on Thursday, learning songs like Holy Wars and just playing the instrument, it just changes my state, you know. And it's crazy that it can do that. And I'm so glad I do have that. But as Glen said earlier, you know, songs come and go. For me, I'm like one song a month, you know. It doesn't even matter. For some reason, particular songs will just talk to me. At the moment, like, I'm just loving Even Flow by Pearl Jam.
Nice.
You know, and yesterday I was on the System of a Down. You know, like, I was just watching a live concert and I was just feeling it. I'm like, yeah, these songs, and some of it just bringing back childhood memories. I think that's what a lot of the music that I listen to is, triggering some place that I was in the past, and then I just have this realization of where I was then and who I am now, and I can't not be so proud of the growth that I've had. You know, it's blowing my mind. I'm like, yeah, this song that I used to listen to when I was either like 8, 12, or 15, or even 20, like, damn, life was so different back then, and I really grabbed by the horns and I've taken it, you know, the way I can. And that is, for me, combined with like just playing songs, like this music stuff, man, it really gets inside and just gets you going. So like, I guess that's why we're all here, you know, because of that same feeling that we all share.
Music, yeah. Music can have such a big impact on us, man. And like you said about the Firewind album, like, I haven't heard that myself, but I'll probably give it a spin this week after your recommendation there, man. But was there some other, or is it something that playing music does for you in that same way?
Oh, yeah.
Like what we're always talking about?
Yeah, bloody, like, even if I'm not like pushing to the next level of playing, I'm not aiming for that. So one of the things I do now is, because where I live, it's pretty dry when it comes to musicians who play our kind of music. So I'm kind of by myself. But, you know, I'll just throw on YouTube a live video of Panteras Domination. And I've learned that song God knows how long ago. But, well, I can't play with someone else. I just play along with Pantera as they play live.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what song it is or who it's from or whatever. It's just that feeling of, yes, this is what we do. This is what we love.
Yeah.
Like, everyone gets that from different things. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be music. Like, some people love fitness. Some people love reading books. It doesn't matter what it is that fills your cup, but when you're doing it just feels amazing.
Make that sucker overflow.
Yeah, fill that cup.
And that
absolutely.
Ty comes in there. He doesn't. Have you guys heard this before? I've never heard this. Today's a gift, and that's why they call it the prison.
Oh,
that's
I
a
like
good one.
That. I love that.
And Tina's in the comments saying Slayer's the one that gets her through. Even though she's in some tough times at the moment, she's really loving the advice that we're putting out today.
Oh, I'm glad that we can help out there.
And yeah, Fear of the Dark by Iron Maiden.
Nice.
So I think it's funny how this music doesn't even have to be new or anything like that, you know, but it can come out of our life, you know, songs 20, 30, 40 years old can still have that impact, which, you know, from the concept of writing music, that's not what we're trying to achieve, you know, but it's so powerful to know that it can continue, ongoing, have effect, because that's what it's for, you know.
Yeah.
Music used to make them all dance around and have feelings around the fireplaces, and you know, now just making it do it in a different way.
Yeah.
You know?
Music is so powerful in that way, and you know, maybe that's a good point to sort of wrap up on. It's like, you know, whatever it is that fills your cup, as Glen said, you know, it's not always music, but sometimes it could be books or movies or hanging out with your family or go hanging out at the beach or just taking some time for yourself. You know, it's an awesome thing to do, and especially on a Sunday, and especially on a beautiful day like today in Brisbane here. I don't know if you guys have got awesome weather where you are, but we certainly do. You know, it's go and make the most of today. Go and fill your own cup and charge yourself up so that you can be of service to other people and you can have an awesome day, an awesome week ahead. So, have you got any sort of closing comments there, Glen? Anything to sort of wrap up with?
Yeah, no, I think you guys just said it all there. Just keep your cup filled. Yeah, just don't forget whatever's going on in your life. it's not permanent. And just keep your head up high, guys. That's the best you can do. Even if you can't do anything else, just keep that head up.
That's beautiful. And I think I'd wrap it up to say, the most important thing is progress. If we keep moving, we're not going to stay where we are. So whether it's really bad, not so bad, or it's really good, if we keep moving, it's going to be different. And that's what we like. We don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to be the same every day. We're not a computer system that can just function the same functions over and over. We want a challenge. We want different things. So we've got to go out and make that happen for ourselves.
Absolutely. And, we've certainly got some songs like Metal Church's Badlands is basically about that exact thing.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of covers up on our YouTube channel. If you guys are interested in checking some of those out. So as I said, there's some acoustic jams. There's some songs that Wally's been playing through on the drums. We've got plenty of Brothers of Metal covers like we did with Glen, the Holy Wars. So if you guys haven't seen the Holy Wars cover, jump over to YouTube today and check that one out. We did a fantastic job, we think. But Glen did a bloody fantastic job on Marty Friedman's solos. And we certainly had a bunch of fun playing it. That's how we feel our cut, is playing music, doing covers of songs that we love, jamming with musicians like Glen and some other guests that we've had in the past, and we'll be having more in the future. We've got tons of stuff on our YouTube, so guys, jump over there, give some music a spin, give us a like, give us a subscribe, because all of those things help us. But more importantly, by subscribing, you guys will get notified every time we chuck up a new video. So, how else can they get more involved in what we're doing?
Just on that, the way that everyone chipped in here today, Ty and Tina and Brendan, Sweeney, everyone commenting away. It's like we know that by putting ourselves out there, we're able to be of service of others. So, the more you guys can comment and get behind the new videos, things like that, it just helps to push that message out to more people. And as we've uncovered today, we don't even realise people are being helped, and then here they are saying we're being of great help. So that's what it's all about. What can we do? We can just be out there and be present and be amongst the community, participate, because we never know who's going to take the help that we're out there providing.
Participate in life.
Yes. So participate, you certainly can by, what do you reckon, getting your hands on a Wartooth vinyl?
Oh, that's it.
Shameless.
Get them out there.
We have just received these this week, guys. I don't know if you've seen some of the announcements on the socials, but we've got bloody Wartooth vinyls ready to go, fresh off the presses, and we are very proud of that in terms of what you're talking about there about progress, Wally.
Yeah. That's all about it.
It's great to have these things in our hands finally and be looking at them in the face. You guys can jump over to the link Wally's just posted up there if you want to grab one. Even if you don't listen to vinyl, they're a great collector's item. They're a great thing to display. You were talking about that before, actually.
Yeah, my wife, we don't have a record player, but she loves the artwork. So she collects all the albums and just puts them on the wall. Just because it looks cool. What more do you need? It looks cool.
That's good, man. Have you got one of those ones?
I haven't yet,
No,
no.
we're going to have to hook you up, my friend.
Yeah.
That is a cool artwork that we'll stick on the wall.
Talk about looking cool.
Boom.
How's that for you? What do you reckon? The bookshelf or even in the kitchen if you're that committed?
Wherever you like, my friend.
Yeah, it can be.
It's a great wall piece.
Great wall piece right there.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll have to hook you up with one of those before you head off today, Glen. But as I
guys
said, if you guys want to get involved, you can jump over to the link. We're also shipping out these little pins with the vinyls if you want one.
You got to get a bit closer there, mate. It's too shiny.
It's bloody shiny and it's small, so I'm going to lean. Oh, now it's even more shiny.
There we go.
Oh, guys, no worry.
It's a lapel.
Logo
If anyone
pins,
needs
so
to
it's
know.
little,
It just says
double
Wartooth.
closure on the back. Logo pins. Those you can get them in with your vinyl.
Well, you get those with your vinyl, $6 extra on top of the vinyl, so
That's
fitting
it.
either on your battle jacket, possibly on your hat, or where the hell you put spiky things. Maybe it can just be a pain in the butt and give it to someone else.
But that's it. All right. But if you guys want to talk more about mental health and getting after life and charging the warpath, as we say, headbanging through mental health, Wally, where's the best place for them to do that?
Well, you can get around it obviously on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as we've already mentioned, or you can become part of the Warhead Army, which is where that's where it's all happening. If you really want to be deep in the community, having the conversations and being right up to speed with everything that we're doing. So you can get in the Warhead Army by going to signup.wartoothmetal.com and put in your email address there. We'll send you some songs to get on board, get indoctrinated into the Warhead Army, figure out what's going on, and then we just, after boot camp, charging along, full speed ahead, taking the bull by the horns, because that's the only way to do it, really.
Kicking down the doors, as we said, having the difficult conversations. So part of the onboarding process of the Warhead Army, for those that aren't already on board, is we send you some songs, as Wally said, but we actually explain what the songs are about and some of the messages behind it and things like that. And then once we've done that, I mean, once we start sending you guys songs, you've got our email address. Email us anytime for a chat, you know, about mental health, about life, about music, about whatever the hell you want to chat about. You know, you've got our email address there, so you can reply and we can have chats, all those sorts of things. So get around it, get amongst it, and we're going to have some big announcements coming up soon. So obviously the mailing list will be the first people to find out about those big announcements. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys spend the day filling your cup. Have a wicked Sunday and a great week ahead. And as always, stay thrash. Wally?
Have a great afternoon. See you all later.
Yeah, catch you next time.